All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a big one, Mark Manson's bestseller, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Now, this isn't your typical self-help book. It actually flips the whole idea of positivity on its head, arguing that a good life isn't about feeling good all the time, but about getting really good at choosing what's truly worth caring about. To really get this, we've got to start with a story about a guy named Charles Bukowski. He was, by most measures, a total loser, an alcoholic, a gambler, and a writer whose work got rejected for decades. But here's the thing. His success, when it finally came, wasn't because he tried to become a winner. It was because he knew he was a loser, he was okay with it, and he wrote about his failures with brutal honesty. His gravestone literally says it all. Don't try.
And that whole Bukowski vibe, it really pushes against this huge problem Manson sees in our culture today. It's this obsession with being positive, which, ironically, traps us in something he calls the feedback loop from hell.
I mean, think about it. We are just swimming in images of perfect lives, right? You open up social media and it's all amazing vacations, perfect weddings, and dream jobs. It sets this impossible standard, and it makes us feel like there's something deeply wrong with us anytime we feel anxious or sad or just not great. And this is how that feedback loop gets you. It goes like this. First, you feel anxious about, say, an upcoming presentation. Then you start thinking, why am I so anxious? I shouldn't be. Now you're anxious about being anxious. You've just created a second layer of misery, and you're not even dealing with the original problem anymore. What's powering this whole crazy cycle is something the philosopher Alan Watts called the backwards law. And it's a simple but profound idea. The more you desperately try to feel good, the more you just remind yourself that you don't. Chasing positivity only reinforces the feeling that you lack it. So, how do you escape this trap? How do you break the cycle? Well, you stop giving a fuck about feeling bad. You just accept it. You say to yourself, yeah, I feel anxious right now. So what? The moment you accept the negative feeling, you rob it of its power. You short-circuit the loop. Okay, so if chasing happiness is a trap, then what are we supposed to do? Well, Manson argues that we need to completely reframe what happiness even is. It's not a destination, it's something you do. See, happiness isn't something you just find. It's something you create by solving problems. Life is just an endless series of problems. You solve your money problem by getting a better job, which creates a new problem of having a stressful commute. The joy isn't in having no problems. The joy is in solving the problems you have. And this changes the entire game. The really important question isn't, what do you want to enjoy? I mean, come on, everyone wants to enjoy the good stuff. The real question, the much more powerful question is, what pain are you willing to sustain? What struggle are you willing to sign up for? Because that's what's actually going to define your life. Let's put it this way. Everybody wants the awesome result. Everyone wants to be the rock star on stage. But who is willing to fall in love with the endless hours of practice in a smelly garage? Who falls in love with the process? Who you are is defined by the struggle you're willing to embrace, not just the trophy you want at the end. This whole idea is captured perfectly in the story of two musicians. First, you have Dave Mustaine. He got kicked out of Metallica and went on to form Megadeth, a massively successful band. But he spent his life measuring his success against Metallica, so he always felt like a failure. Then you have Pete Best. He got kicked out of the Beatles. His metric for success became having a happy family life, and he found it. He was fulfilled. It all came down to the values they chose to measure themselves by. So real self-improvement isn't about getting more stuff. It's about picking better values. Good values, like honesty or creativity, are internal. They're based in reality, and you can control them. Bad values, like being popular or being richer than everyone else, depend entirely on other people, which leaves you feeling anxious and powerless. And, choosing these better values requires us to take ownership of our lives. And that brings us to the next huge idea for Manson. You are always responsible. Now, to get this, you have to understand the difference between fault and responsibility. Fault is in the past. It's about what already happened. Responsibility is right now. It's about how you choose to react. You might not be at fault for getting a bad hand of cards, but you are always responsible for how you play it. And if you think this is just some new age idea, listen to this. William James, the father of American psychology, was really struggling with illness and depression, so he made a decision. For 1 year, he would live as if he were 100% responsible for everything that happened to him. That single choice, that experiment completely transformed his life. Manson brilliantly flips that old Spider-Man quote on its head. It's not with great power comes great responsibility. It's with great responsibility comes great power. The moment you choose to accept responsibility for your problems is the moment you gain the power to change them. It's not about blame. It's all about empowerment.
But what's the one thing, the ultimate reality check, that puts all of this into perspective? It's pretty simple. You're gonna die.
I know, that sounds incredibly morbid, but Manson argues that facing our own mortality is actually the most powerful and clarifying tool we have. He calls it the sunny side of death, and he thinks it's the key to living a life that actually means something. The anthropologist Ernest Becker had this theory, that most of what we do in life are immortality projects. We write books, we build businesses, we raise children, all in an effort to create a version of ourselves that will live on after we're gone. It's all our way of trying to fight the terror of death.
But here's the paradox. Accepting that you will die is the very thing that gives your life meaning. Death is that fixed point on the horizon that lets you navigate. Because our time is limited, we are forced to decide what's actually important and what's just trivial noise. And look at that. We're right back to Bukowski. He got it. He knew that this one shared fact, that we're all going to die, should bring us together. It should make us kinder. But instead, we get so bogged down by trivial things. We let stuff that won't matter in a year, let alone at the end of our lives, just eat us alive. So in the end, death is the only thing that's for sure. And Manson's point is that we need to use it as a compass. Let it force you to stop giving a fuck about the things that don't matter, so you have the time and energy to care about the things that do. So the ultimate question isn't just about what legacy you leave, but what you choose to struggle for right now, in the very limited time you have.